very much. Next, I'd like to turn to Rick and Maureen Hunter for Hunterline weathering. And this is a new feature, and I'm really looking forward to this. So Rick, Maureen, I'll turn it over to you folks.
Hi.
Hi there. How are you?
Okay. Let me get all the buttons going right.
Take your time.
Now share screen.
Get rid of that X thing up there. Yeah.
Hey.
Yep. There you go.
Well, good. All right. A new webcam with little lights on it and all that stuff. And we've been experimenting all week to make sure it goes okay. What we want to try to accomplish tonight, this is actually the first of 4 sessions that we're going to have on this. This is taking our weathering mix and doing a barn board. We call this barn board gray. Now, everybody said, why can't you put it in a bottle? Well, it's 3 or 4 different colors. You can't put that in one bottle. This is actually a technique, not a thing that you can have in a bottle. So Maureen's going to start to do it because we have to allow a little bit of drying time. Maureen, you want to talk about distressing the wood?
Yeah. What I'm doing right now is I've already got my wood distressed. I'll show you how to do that in a second. I just want to get the first coat on here. I'm putting the base coat color on. I'm using a light gray. It takes a good few minutes for it to dry.
What we've found about doing this, everybody wants the finished color. Well, finished color is last, it's not first. You got to do that underlying color, and usually it's on in a gray type of color. We've gone up to a lot of barns, nose to nose on the barn, and said, okay, these are the colors that we see. And one of the things we've learned about this is rotting wood. Everybody thinks that's black. It's not. It's actually a very dark, dark brown. So we'll show you in a few minutes how to incorporate that. We do have
Rick,
to allow for drying time a little bit.
Rick, do you have more than one gray color or just one gray?
We just got the one gray. It's
okay.
In reality, it's a diluted black. We call it light gray.
Okay.
And that's a good place to start all the time, is gray.
This is just a sample board that I have here. So there's several different boards, and you can see already that the light gray comes up in varying colors already with browns in there, just because every piece of wood is different. But how I start out when I'm doing a kit is I just distress all the wood. Every piece of wood is the very first thing I do. And I use a fine tooth razor saw. This one is 42 teeth to the inch, I believe. So what I do is I take a fair amount of pressure and I just drag it across all the sides of the strip lumber. You have to put a fair amount of pressure there to get the grooves, bring the grooves up, and then the stain will really hit that wood nicely. I'll show you. I'm just going to apply the light gray. It's straight from the bottle. Just putting it on this one.
And yeah, she splattered some on the good stuff, but yeah, that'll come out really good.
I don't know if you can tell on this. I think maybe a little bit.
Try it closer to the camera.
This part is distressed and this part is not. So you can see the difference. So it's really, well worth your while to do this distressing. However painstakingly it might be. Take the time to do that. It makes a huge difference.
Maureen, what was the base color of the white?
It was light gray that I used.
On the base, the very base?
Yeah.
No, that's just raw wood.
Oh, the base. Oh, sorry, that was just basswood.
Oh, okay, because it looks like there's a little tinge of like the whitewash in it.
Oh, no.
That's just from the little light off of the webcam.
Got it. Okay, so you're just putting on the light gray.
It gives a little bit of a sheen, but as Maureen's going through the process, you'll see the sheen will disappear.
Perfect.
Yeah. So take the time to distress your wood, then put your base color on, whatever color you want to do your building or whatever you're modeling. And then I usually cut it on the drawing, on your template drawing, and glue it together. Because if you glue it together first and then go back and put your stain on, if you've got a little bit of glue oozing out of your joints, it's not going to accept the stain. So
that's called a knot.
Yeah, okay. All right. So just going to let this dry a little bit. I'll show you one. Let me see here. Here's a board that's already dry, and I've done some dry brushing. You can see I put some barn red here. I've dry brushed. I put some darker black there. A little bit of blue gray in some of these areas as well.
So this is actually a red barn board, okay? Your finished color is that little bit of color at the end, and that's what type of barn it's going to be.
I guess the idea is just to show you that it doesn't have to be just one color. Your building doesn't have to be just one color. You can dry brush whatever color you want on top. Over here,
look at the stain,
yeah,
the distressing on that one.
Yeah, this one my base coat was a raw sienna, and then I used some creosote black. I used some boxcar brown, dry brushed it on there. So you can get lots of great effects by dry brushing. This is one of our covered bridges. And for this model, I started out with a base coat of driftwood. That's the lighter color that you see on that building. And then I took boxcar brown and did some dry brushing where you see that brownish red. And then where you might see a little bit of dampness up the bottom, I just took my brush and took the creosote black right out of the bottle, and I turned this bridge upside down and then just started dry brushing some black up from the bottom. You see that? And you can do it from the top as well.
It creates your shadow.
Can I ask what you mean by dry brushing? Because it is a liquid.
Yeah, I'll show you how to do that. I was just kind of waiting for this board to dry, but it looks like it's pretty much done. So what I'm going to do here.
That's the beauty of the alcohol. It only takes less than 5 minutes to dry.
I'm going to dry brush a little bit of blue gray on this board.
Now you notice that Maureen's using the same brush and she didn't wash it. We only use, we have what's called Dollarama, and you can get a dozen brushes for $1, and that's great. They're the ones we use, and we don't usually wash them.
I just use a very cheap brush. I like the flat ones. Just take your, I don't know where to put this, I guess. Just take your brush, put it right into your bottle, or if you want to put it into a disposable container first, that's fine. Then take a paper towel and just dab off most of that color. And then take it and start dry brushing. You can get quite enough on that one.
This process you will not get the first time for dry brushing. You might have to do it many times to get it to what you want.
So just put it straight in the bottle, dab a lot of it off, most of it off actually, onto a paper towel, and then just start putting it in varied areas. Whatever suits your eye. And I usually do this after the building is complete. I've got my base coat on already, of course, and then I'll go have a look at it and say, oh, okay, I'm gonna put some, you know, another color here, a dark brown or blue gray.
The blue gray gives you that, what people call silver effect of barn boards. They're not silver. You can see it only takes a few seconds. We actually say if it takes more than 2 or 3 seconds, you're taking too long.
I guess I should have the towel here just so you can see what I'm doing. maybe I want to put a little bit of brown on here. So I'm going to take my medium brown, shake the bottle. The dye does settle a little in the bottom. So again, put your brush straight in the bottle, dab some off on your paper towel, and start dry brushing.
One of the neat things about this type of technique is if you don't like it tomorrow, you can do it again. We find that Mother Nature, sorry?
Maureen, after you've done your base coat, are all the rest of the coats you put on dry brushed?
Yes, usually, yeah. If I've got a bridge, say I'm building a trestle, and maybe I take the bents of the trestle, I'll take my creosote black, and I will just take the stain right straight from the bottle, and take my brush and run it. I'll show you here just a second. Take it right across the top of the bent.
No, can't see.
Oh, take it right across the top of the bent, and take the
let Mother Nature do it.
Yeah, just let it drizzle down. You see how that's falling down? Yeah. On a bent, it looks great. It just really coats that. Okay, so you can take it straight out of the bottle and just let it run down. I did that for okay, if you can see this, see the shape on the bridge. The only thing that I don't, stain first was these shakes. I put them on straight from the package without staining them first because I had a lot of trouble with warping. So I glued the shakes right onto the roof and onto the sheathing. And then I coated it with driftwood. I just took it straight from the bottle and slapped it on. I actually turned the whole building upside down so that the stain would just ooze into all those tabs and highlight them.
And one of the things you do with a laser cut, this is the only laser cut item that we have, is the shakes. And we always use the burnt side because it gives the color variation of each individual piece. So we do not use the good side of the laser cut, we use the bad side.
And as you said, Jim, I took the creosote black, used it as a wash. I took it straight from the bottle, turned that bridge upside down, and I took the creosote black and just let it go straight from the bottle, and it just oozed down into those shakes. So it was great. Turned out great, I think. Nice effect.
Yep.
So yeah, so that's what I mean by dry brushing. I'll just add a little bit more brown here.
Usually when we're doing this live, the piece she's working on is actually vertical instead of horizontal. And you get that effect of running a little bit. But every time Maureen does one, it's different textures and different color combinations. One of the combinations we really like is using our cottage white, which it's not a stark white, it's a washed down one, and then dry brush the gray, the light gray on top of it. And it really brings out the effect of a white house, not one that's been freshly painted.
So you can make these colors, you know, as dark or as light as you want. I always try to start out with a very dry brush. And then if I want to see more, I'll just, you know, make it a little bit wet and keep adding it that way. So that's the effect of that. Any other ones here I've got?
And what happens if you want to do a building that is, you know, maybe only 5 years old or 10 years old, something that's not really weather beaten?
Well, you can take that dry brush and do it to any intensity you want. One of the ones we show are a red barn, and it's a gray background, a gray base, and then you can, when you dry brush the red on it, you can do as much red as you want to whatever you think will be the best looking way of doing it.
Yeah, like this, you could take, this is a red here. I'm just kind of going over top of these other colors, but you can put it on, one coat, 2 coats, however dark you want it. If you don't want it to look so weather beaten, just make it a little darker.
Rick and Maureen, can you take and put like an acrylic paint over top of this stain?
Sure. You can, but our thought about that is, why would you? One of the things that we've found over the years is it works really well. Our weathering mix works really well with pan pastels. Be it, ours is the base colors and pan pastels is the highlight colors, or pan pastels base colors and ours is the highlight colors. In fact, Maureen's given actually clinics with one of our dealers that does pan pastel, and she's actually done clinics with them to show how they mix together.
No, but what I'm talking about, you know, when a building starts to weather a little bit, the bottom part of it will start to peel and show some gray boards underneath of it. And then, but the rest of the building will stay maybe white or red or something like that.
That's that effect of how Maureen started at the bottom and worked up a little bit. Again, you don't have to do that to a really intense color. You can just do it subtly to make it look the way you want it.
Yeah. You can see this color of the red is straight from the bottle. It's pretty dark in some areas, a little lighter in others. So you can just keep adding coats. Like that. That's pretty dark. It'll dry a little bit lighter, but
okay,
yeah, I mean, you can, if you've got a building that you'd want to paint in acrylic, that's fine. And you can use the stain to just dry brush on varied areas.
One of the other clinics we have coming up is using it on different materials. You can use it on plastic, some metals, hydrocal, as many mediums that you can actually use it with. And we will be showing those in one of the segments coming up. I think, Jim, if I'm right, we're on for next Saturday night too?
Yes, sir.
Great.
We'll do the ties then.
Then we have a special technique for ties, and that's what's going to be next week. Okay.
Any other questions or?
Just one more of a comment. I built my first kit from you guys. It's the 30-foot Queen Truss Bridge.
Okay.
It turned out really well for us.
Good.
Great.
And I've been scared to do it, but it was easy to do. The problem is those small nut bolt washer castings. Yeah, okay. I'm glad you put extra ones in the package.
Yeah.
We know this, okay? One of the segments we have coming up is Maureen's technique on how to do NBWs. Maureen's developed this to such a, I shouldn't say this, but she's developed to such a point that we never lose one. and
I don't know about that.
And sure, shooting when we do it on camera, it's going to shoot all over the place, I know. But that's one of the segments we have coming up.
Maureen, I want to thank you for mentioning shaking the bottle.
Oh yeah.
I've always wondered about that. I typically shake it because anything I pick up that I'm going to open and use a brush in, I shake, but I never knew if I was wasting my effort or not. And I appreciate it.
Just if I could take another few minutes, 4 of our colors are actually have a pigment in them. they're a special thing because we tried to develop a stain that would be a light color going over a dark stain. So they have a pigment in them to work like that. Now, when you get the bottle, they are much thicker than any of the other ones, and they do need a good shake. And sometimes the pigment will actually settle to the bottom, and it's just like stirring a can of paint. Put a stick in it, stir it around, and then everything should come back to life on it.
Thank you.
But people get those and they say, ah.
Well, thank you so much, both of you, for tonight, and look forward to next Saturday with you.
Okay, see you next week.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Maureen.